Shalom, welcome to the Jewish Task Force, J.T.F. I'm Chaim ben Pesach, and we have another program with the great David ben Moshe. On this program, we're going to be discussing two things. First of all, the most important subject is going to be what happens when the Messiah comes, when the Mashiach comes. What will happen in the Messianic era? What is the Jewish view of the Messiah, and what will the world be like? What will life be like after that happens? And we're going to spend some time talking about health issues because of course, we want everybody, all of the Jews and righteous Gentiles that watch JTF's programs to be healthy. We want you to live and not suffer health problems. So we're going to spend some time discussing health issues on the program. But before we get to all of that, this program is dedicated to a refuah shlema, complete recovery, for Ashadina Bat Violet, Shlomo ben Sarah, Ruth bat Sarah, Dorit bat Sarah, and Reuven ben Shoshana, and to Ilui Neshamot, elevating of the souls for Sharon Mitman, Malka bat Meir, Allegra bat Shlomo, Daniel Neinkin, Victor Chazdai, Pesach Zeb ben Dov, Lunita Adler, Shifra Hoffman, Reuven Hoffman, Barry Hoffman, Harab Nir Kahana, Harab Binyamin Kahana, Tzipora Fegi Bat Liba, Yosef Ben Meir, Robert Mittman, Dennis Shore, Helen Friedman, Charles Zolat, and Yair Levine. Let's start by talking about health issues, because we want people to be healthy enough to be around when the Mashiach comes, when the Messiah comes. I don't know when he's going to come. He's definitely coming, but I don't know when he's going to come. Good chance it won't be in my lifetime. I'm 68 years old, but we hope that he come. I would hope that he come immediately. We don't know that. We don't know the answer to. But let's talk about health issues, because I'm ki ani lo navi v'ani lo ben navi, which means in Hebrew, I'm not a prophet or the son of a prophet, so I can't tell you because I don't have the power of prophecy. But we're going to talk about health issues. First of all, it goes without saying, if any of you are smoking, that is absolute insanity. Now, of course, you know that I'm going to be against smoking, and you know that smoking is very dangerous. Smoking is an example of how people can go against all their logical understanding of things. And how even if the difference between the heart and the brain in Judaism. The heart, of course, in reality, physically in the body, just is there to pump blood to the rest of the body and serves various functions, various physical functions. But you feel certain things, like when you love somebody, you feel the love in your heart. You can feel a feeling in your heart. A feeling is generated. But all of that, of course, comes from the brain. But symbolically, the heart represents the good instinct and the bad instincts in people and the emotions in people, and the brain represents the logical decisions that people make. And smoking is an example of where your logical decisions are overridden by other considerations. You know that smoking is death. You know that smoking brings cancer and heart disease, and stroke, and
emphysema, COPD.
Every possible horrible thing that you can imagine is caused by smoking. You know that. Smoking is suicidal. We have known this for many, many years, at least since the 1950s. Research has conclusively shown that smoking kills people, that smoking shortens your life expectancy. Even if you don't get cancer, your life expectancy will be shorter if you smoke. It will cut years off of your life. And those are the people who are lucky enough not to drop dead or get seriously ill even before they reach old age, because some people never reach old age because of smoking. It is a devastating, insane addiction, and it is an addiction. And the only way to stop smoking is that the old Alcoholics Anonymous routine of one day at a time. You just say, today I'm not going to smoke. I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow, but today today I am not smoking. No matter what, I'm not going to smoke today. And you don't smoke for the rest of the day. And then tomorrow you say, you know what, today, just for one day, I'm not going to smoke. And then the next day you do it, and the next day, and next day, and eventually you get used to it. Eventually, hopefully, the very sight of cigarettes will make you sick. You'll hate it after a while, and you'll have no desire to go back to smoking. Hopefully. Some people don't. Some people always, that addiction is always there, and that danger of their returning to that horrible suicidal habit. That danger always exists. But smoking, you absolutely should stop smoking. Now, if you're a member of certain groups of people, like if you're part of that group of people, you should smoke. Then it's okay to smoke. Smoking is good. Or if you're, if you want to destroy Israel, if you're an anti-Semite, or if you're a self-hating Jew that wants to destroy their own people, or an evil, disgusting person, then you can smoke. Okay? So you see, I'm very permissive and very progressive and enlightened. Then I want you to smoke.
Can I cut in just for a second?
Yeah.
You said we've known it since the 1950s. That's what I used to think too. But I saw a movie from 1938. I believe it was a Western. And the cowboy asked for a carton of coffin nails. So that's going back as far as 38. They knew it wasn't healthy. I don't know if they knew how bad it really was, but they knew this was not healthy way back when.
Okay. Probably, yeah, that's probably true, but I know of studies that began in the 1950s. That I know. And you know that in the 1950s, the commercials on television started with the actors who were dying of cancer. Remember they used to have those commercials on television with the actors dying of cancer. Do you remember that?
The Marlboro Man, 3 of them in a row died at age 47. And in the early 50s, before you were a glint in your parents' eyes, there was a commercial for camels. 4 out of 5 doctors preferred camels. There wasn't much truth in advertising back then.
No. The tobacco companies all lied. I mean, they lied, and they did rigged research showing that it's okay to smoke and that it's even healthy. They actually did rigged research. But in the 1950s, I do know that studies started coming out that smoking was deadly. And then you started having commercials from actors. Even in the late 50s, you had commercials from actors who were dying of cancer. And who, they would come on TV and they'd say, that they're dying of cancer. And then literally a week or a month later, they'd be dead. That started in the 50s. So already in the 1950s, anyone who smoked had to be insane to continue smoking, just insane. But anyway, that's as far as smoking is concerned. Of course, the issue of alcohol, if those of you who drink, I think alcohol is not healthy. Now, I know that there are some studies that show that if you have 1 glass of red wine every day, that, there were studies that show that might be good for you, but most studies now show that it isn't. I don't think if every once in a while you have a beer or you have some wine or if you have a drink every once in a while, I don't think it's going to kill you, but I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's good for your body. That's just my opinion. And again,
the alcohol doesn't kill you, the taste will. I was once dating a woman who came from a very rich family, and they had a $400 bottle of wine, and they wanted me to taste it to see what I thought about it because I'm not a wine drinker. And I took a sip, and it tasted as horrible as any other alcoholic drink. The only thing is, on your tongue, it did feel like velvet, but the taste was obnoxious. I always say to Ashadina, my wife, why do people drink alcohol? The taste is horrible. And she always says it's for the effect. Well, if you need an effect, then there's something deficient in your character, because look at me, I'm happy all the time. I have the opposite of depression.
Well, people do. That's why people take drugs also. People take drugs and people drink because they want to escape. They want to escape reality. They don't like reality. But what's the point of living then? What's the point? I mean, the ultimate escape is to kill yourself, and that's what you're doing when you take drugs. And people take drugs, and most Americans who are addicted to drugs, the tens of millions of Americans are drug addicts. Tens of millions of Americans are addicted to drugs. Most of them addicted to prescription drugs that they get from doctors. They get prescriptions. Not that people go on the street and buy from a drug dealer. I'm not talking about going and buying on a street corner. I'm talking about legal prescription drugs, which are also addictive and are also very, very harmful to the body. Now, food. I don't know how much time.
Uh-oh.
I don't know how much time we're going to have to discuss all the foods. We may not have that much time, but I'll go into some of it. Cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, and saturated fat are killers, are the number one killers of people in this country. The number one thing that kills people is heart disease. Most people die of heart attacks. The second thing is cancer. The third thing is strokes. And we could go on to list everything on the list, but those are the three big ones. Those are the three big killers of people that will eventually kill almost everybody. Almost everybody will eventually die from one of those three things, or from more than.
Don't forget Alzheimer's.
Yeah, Alzheimer's. But then the actual thing that kills them in the Alzheimer's, then the Alzheimer's patient has a heart attack or has stroke eventually.
Well, or they'll fall. Once a very elderly person falls, it's all over. They're gone within a few weeks.
Okay, but anyway, the bottom line is that the heart and I think Alzheimer's and other diseases are also heavily affected by this. Cholesterol and saturated fat are devastating to the body. Because they build up cells, they block arteries, they block the flow of blood. That's what causes heart attacks and strokes. It's very, very, it's deadly to the body, and people should drastically limit as much as possible the intake of bad cholesterol and the intake of saturated fats. You should not eat anything that is garbage. No garbage. Now, that means no cakes, no cookies, no cupcakes.
Uh-oh, why are you looking at me when you say
No
that?
cupcakes, no potato chips. What else do people eat? Candy bars, chocolates, all those
Frosted
things.
Lucky Charms.
Or anything. Sugar, by the way, is extremely unhealthy for the body. Salt, very bad for blood pressure, which is a killer. You should avoid salt, avoid sugar products. Of course, you get some natural sugar in fruits and vegetables, but the antioxidant elements in fruits and vegetables generally make the fruit and vegetable healthy, despite the fact that it has sugar. You don't want to overdo it with sugar with certain types of fruits, but generally speaking, fruits and vegetables are very healthy, essential to your health, because they have other nutrients that protect your body. But anything where you see, you should check the ingredients of everything you buy in the store. If there's added sugar, if there's anything that's similar to sugar. By the way, honey and all these other sweeteners and artificial sweeteners, of course, are cancerous or devastating. And honey and all these other things honey has the same impact on your body as sugar. So these things are extremely unhealthy, extremely bad for you. Very, very unhealthy. It's also like it's not at the level of smoking, but it's almost like smoking. It's insane. It's suicidal. You should not go near this. Soda and all this other junk that people drink. And by the way, orange juice is not healthy because of the sugar, the concentrated amounts of sugar in it. You should drink, unless it's fresh squeezed oranges with nothing added. You should eat whole oranges. They're so delicious. I eat oranges every day. So delicious. Whole apples are very delicious. Fruits and vegetables are so delicious, so good for you and so delicious. And once you have acquire a taste for it, you will look forward to eating those fruits and vegetables every day. You'll look forward. Tomatoes, very important, especially for stopping male cancers. Tomatoes and oranges and grapefruit is good for you. And strawberries. Oh, strawberries are delicious. But you've got now when you get fruits and vegetables, you got to make sure to wash and clean them thoroughly, rinse them and clean them thoroughly. And even if you soak them for a while in hot water, that's also a good idea because they have a lot of poisons on them. Even the organic ones have poisons on them. The organic has supposedly has less poison, but they still have poison on them. They have poisons, they have chemicals on them. You want to get rid of that. Now, how many fruits and vegetables should you eat? I eat 7 or 8 fruits and vegetables a day. I eat 7 or 8 a day. And I love them. I love them. Everything from the really sweet, delicious fruits. Sometimes I vary, sometimes I have watermelon, sometimes I have regular melon, sometimes I have apples and peaches and pears. Sometimes I have, and then the green leafy vegetables. Those are the healthiest. You want a real powerhouse for nutrients? Kale is a powerhouse for nutrients. Spinach is a powerhouse for nutrients. Buy spinach, buy kale. Soak it also in water, by the way. Clean it off. Make sure it's clean. Even if they say it's rinsed and clean, you can rinse it and clean it again. Kale, spinach, very, very healthy and delicious and really delicious. And again, there are all types of fruits and vegetables. I'm not going to, grapes, of course, are delicious. Bananas. This now, if you're a vegan, you're going to have a lot of problems because you don't get enough protein. You need to get protein. So veganism is not, I don't think, is healthy because I don't think you get all the protein and nutrients that you need just from fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables are essential, but you have to have other things in addition. By the way, if you want to eat something, if you're a vegan, you want to eat something that will give you protein. Peanuts have protein. Make sure they're not peanuts, no salt added, no oil, none of that. Just dry roasted peanuts. I eat dry roasted peanuts all the time. I love dry roasted peanuts. Other nuts are also healthy. I don't eat them because they're too expensive, and I'm trying to save money for the Hilltop youth. I give my money to the Hilltop youth, so I don't want to spend a lot of money on my grocery bills. But I eat peanuts. I love peanuts. I buy a big 5-pound bag of peanuts in the grocery store for $10. They sell it for $9.99 in the grocery store I go to. Big 5-pound bag of dry roasted peanuts. Don't overdo it though. Peanuts can be addictive. It's so delicious when you start eating it. It's really good. You can eat too many. You don't want to eat too many. Okay? Peanuts do have fat. They do have a certain amount of fat in them also. And of course you can gain weight eating them. I don't have to worry about the weight. I'm very thin. But peanuts, most people do have to be concerned about their weight. And so, but if you have like a cupful of peanuts, every day or 3 or 4 times a week, it's not going to hurt you at all. You should have seafood in your diet every week. Now, of course, Jews cannot eat non-kosher seafood. Gentiles can. Jews cannot eat non-kosher seafood, but Jews can eat sardines. Jews can eat salmon. Certain types of fish are not healthy, or really don't add much to you nutritionally. It's a myth that all fish is good for you. That's not true. Okay, salmon and sardines are very good for you. Okay, they really are very good for you. Salmon, by the way, also has vitamin D. A lot of people don't get enough vitamin D. Salmon will give you vitamin D. You don't want to overeat, though. You don't want to eat salmon every day because there is a certain amount of mercury in salmon and in sardines. So you don't want to overdo it. But if you have like 7.5 ounces of salmon every week and 7.5 ounces of sardines every week, it'll be okay. Sardines also are high in sodium and in salt content, so you got to be a little careful when it comes to that. Also, when you cook the salmon, when you cook the salmon, sardines you eat right out of the can, but when you cook the salmon, you don't want to add salt. You don't want to put all types of things on it. You just eat plain. Just cook the salmon. Salmon is delicious naturally, plain cooked. It's delicious. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic food. It's delicious and it's very, very healthy. Chicken, if you eat your chicken, you should eat it without the skin. Skin is loaded with you have to be concerned, even when eating things like chicken, about saturated fat and cholesterol. Eat it without the skin and without the chicken livers. Eggs are not, I do not believe that eggs are healthy because of the cholesterol. Very, very high cholesterol. In one egg, you have a tremendous amount of cholesterol. Now, if you just eat the egg whites and make sure not to eat any of the yellow part of the egg, that's fine. The egg whites are fine. I don't think they're tremendously nutritious, but they're fine. But the yellow part of the egg, packed with cholesterol, I think it's very unhealthy, in my opinion. Tofu. Tofu is delicious, and it gives you a lot of protein. And if you're a vegan, by the way, you may want to eat. I don't think many people in our audience are vegans, but just in case any of them are, protein, tofu and peanuts and things like that will give you the protein that you lack if you're basically living on fruits and vegetables. By the way, most of my diet is fruits and vegetables. The majority of things because I eat 7 or 8 fruits and vegetables every day, I don't have room for very much more. I also eat pasta, but the pasta should be 100% whole grain or 100% whole wheat. Make sure it says 100% whole wheat or 100% whole grain. Barella, for instance, makes pasta that's 100% whole wheat with a lot of nutrients in it. They add, it's heavily enriched. There are pastas that are not whole wheat and whole grain that are also heavily enriched, that they also enrich, which means they add healthy things to it so that they could claim that they're healthy. But the healthiest pasta is whole grain or whole wheat pasta. Make sure it's 100% whole grain, 100% whole wheat pasta, and always look at the ingredients. Always look at the ingredients when you buy something. Because of time constraints, I'm not going to go on, but I hope if this saves the lives of some of our great viewers and J.T.F, Jews and righteous Gentiles, then we're doing something good. And again, if you're an anti-Semite or an evil person, or a self-hating Jewish traitor, ignore everything I said and do the opposite of what I just said. Now, if you're an anti-Semite or a self-hating Jew like Schmuck Schumer, if you're someone like him, what a schmuck! I mean, I just saw him this week saying, and the price of avocado is when you eat your guacamole, it's gonna go up under Trump because when you eat your guacamole, you're gonna be eating. When you eat your guacamole, that's made from avocado. What a schmuck! What an imbecile! I mean, just so, and the Democrats take him out and make him a spokesman. I'm happy that he's a spokesman because he's so ineffective for the Democrats. And of course, I hate the Democrats. So I'm happy that they put this schmuck there to be their spokesman. But what a schmuck, what an embarrassment to the Jewish people he is. But anyway, if you're a self-hating Jew like that piece of subhuman filth, or if you're an anti-Semite, or if you're an evil person, if you're evil, one of the evil groups, eat cake, eat cookies, eat candy, eat chocolate bars, smoke, live it up, drink Live it up. Take drugs, all the drug, prescription drugs, buy drugs from the pusher on the corner, everything you want. Get, you know, if you're in one of those groups, then I urge you to do all those things if you're an evil person. But if you're a Jew or a righteous Gentile, then do everything we've spoken about on this program, and then some. And by the way, if you want to know if something is healthy or good for you, do your own research too. Do your own research. Go on the internet and look at what the reputable health sites say. Now, there are a lot of sites that are quack sites, okay? Go to the Cleveland Clinic. Go to the, what other sites do we have? Cleveland Clinic, even though I hate Harvard University, Harvard Health, you can get some reputable stuff from them. What's the name of that university in Minnesota? The famous
Hillsdale?
No. The famous university in Minnesota.
What famous university is in Minnesota?
A very famous university that does all types of health research. Anyway, go online to the reputable health sites and reputable medical sites and look at these things themselves and ask them, is spinach healthy? Put the question in Google, is spinach healthy? Is kale healthy? Are sardines healthy? Is salmon healthy? Look at the thing and look at it and do your own research as well, because your life literally is depending on it. Okay, that doesn't leave me much time for what I wanted to speak about, which is the Jewish Messianic era. Well, I guess we'll have to put some of this off for another week. Jews do wait for the coming of the Messiah. And there are certain things the Messiah has to do, the Mashiach has to do in order to be the true Mashiach. First of all, the Mashiach in Judaism is an ordinary person born from a father and son, a human being, an ordinary human being with a human father and human mother. But he'll be a great prophet and a brilliant and charismatic individual who will persuade the world, or what's left of the world after the war of Gog and Magog, and I don't have time to even discuss that, will persuade the world to follow the truth, and will wake people up about all the false and mythological things that they believed in before, and will bring about great things to the world. He will be the ruler of Israel. He'll be the ruler of the Jewish people first, and the righteous Gentiles will be inspired by him and will also want to follow what he's saying. In the next world, Jews believe ultimately, first of all, Jews believe in two Messiahs, Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David, Messiah son of Joseph, and Messiah son of David. There are two different Messiahs in Judaism. The Mashiach ben Yosef, the Messiah son of Joseph, just like Joseph in Egypt prepared for the Hebrews to come and prepared Egypt for that, so that the Hebrews would be there when they eventually lived there and eventually became slaves before they were liberated. The Mashiach ben Yosef will set the stage, will prepare things for Mashiach ben David, for the final Messiah, son of David. And of course, everything I'm saying is backed by scripture and there's no question it's backed by everything, by true scriptural readings, not distorted scriptural readings for people who want to prophesy other things that are fantasy, that have no reality. Jews believe not only that the Jews will return to the land of Israel, and 10 of ye shall chase 1,000 of them, and 100 of ye shall put 10,000 of them to flight. The Jews will be outnumbered 100 to 1 and win miraculous, tremendous victories that will stun the world, and will come back after many years of exile to their homeland and turn the deserts into gardens. All of these incredible things will happen. The whole world will be against Israel. Lo, this is a nation that shall dwell alone and not be reckoned among the nations. The whole world is against Israel. Little Israel, isolated, hated. by the whole world, outnumbered, hopelessly outnumbered, with hopeless odds, comes back and builds an incredible nation after 2,000 years of exile. All of this is in the Bible. Thousands of years ago we were told this was going to happen. We see it all happening and unfolding in our time. But many other things will happen that will be astonishing. Messiah will come. He'll be a king of Israel. He'll come from the lineage of King David, and he will rule over Israel, and he will persuade the rest of the world, whatever's left of the rest of the world, to do right. Now, when I say whatever's left, because the evil will be destroyed. The evil will not have a part in the next world. Only righteous people will have a part in the next world. Righteous Jews and righteous Gentiles. Evil Jews and evil Gentiles will be destroyed. And so, obviously, it's very, very, makes very good sense to be righteous. The Jews believe in Techiyat HaMetim. Techiyat HaMetim means resurrection of the dead, that the dead will be literally be resurrected. And I could go into more detail about that, but they believe that the Jews who passed away will literally come to life again and will live forever. That's what the world will be like. It'll be a world without hunger, without poverty, without problems, without war. A world where everyone follows God, a world of love and faith and goodness and everybody caring about each other and helping each other. A world of idealism and a world where everyone learns. You know, if it involves Jews, it's going to involve learning, knowing Jews. But it's where everyone learns the secrets of the world, the things you never understood, things about God that you never understood, things about the world you never understood, all of those secrets, not all of the secrets. We will never really understand God. Never. Not in the next world. No one. Even the Mashiach and the Messiah will never really understand God, because God is eternal. He's unlimited. We are limited. We can't possibly fully comprehend God. But we'll learn a lot more about him. And God will be the real ruler of the world. There'll be two kings in the world. God will be the real king, and then the king of flesh and blood will be the Mashiach, the Messiah. And the Jews will live in the land of Israel from the Nile to the Euphrates. And the Holy Temple, Beit HaMikdash, the Holy Temple, will be rebuilt on its site in Jerusalem. And the Gentiles will rule the rest of the world. All the nations outside of Israel will be ruled by the Gentiles, by the righteous Gentiles. Only righteous Gentiles will get into the next world, just as only righteous Jews will get in. And and that's one of the differences between Judaism and other religions. It's not based on do you believe in this or confess to this or whatever. No, you got to live a righteous life. Your actions speak louder than words. You're not saved just by faith. You're saved by actions. You've got to prove through action that you're worthy of eternal life, that you're worthy of these incredible rewards that Hashem, that God is going to give you. And the Gentiles will come to Israel on pilgrimages. They'll come to the Holy Temple on pilgrimages. They'll have a prophetic experience there. It'll be the most uplifting experience they ever had in their life. What is a prophetic experience? What does it mean? Why is it such a magnificent experience? I don't know, because I'm not a prophet, so I can't tell you. I've never had one, so I don't know. And I don't know what it's like to have God. I mean, I have a relationship with God, but it's a one-sided relationship. Unfortunately, it's a one-sided relationship. I speak to God all the time. I pray to him all the time. I speak to him all the time. He doesn't speak to me directly, let's put it that way. Indirectly, through the prophets in the Bible, when I read his prophecies in the Bible, that's how he speaks to us through all generations, but we don't have prophecy yet. We're going to have a resurrection of prophecy. The whole world everyone in the world will become prophets. Knowledge of God will be like the water fills the seas, it says. Will be the knowledge of the world. The knowledge of God will be like the water fills the seas. So everyone will have knowledge, and everyone will be prophetic. And it'll be a world of incredible happiness and peace and serenity and idealism, and no one will fear death anymore, or illness, or other problems. There'll be no aging or Alzheimer's. The the suffering of this world will no longer exist, and they'll be timeless, and people will be able to go through life looking forward to how they're going to advance. But there'll also be some frustration in the world. The frustration will be people who will say, oh, I could have achieved such a higher, because there'll be different levels in the world. Obviously, not everybody gets the same place in the next world as everybody else. The more righteous you are, the higher your place is, because God is a just God, and God is a God of truth. He's not just a God of love and compassion and kindness, which he is, but he's also a God of truth and justice. And so the more good you've done in the world, the more good deeds you've done, the higher your place will be, and the greater your reward will be. If you've done, and the more sins you've committed, of course, that takes away from you. It could take away enough so that you could be denied a place in the next world. So that's why sin is very bad. But people will say, "Oh, if only I had done more. If only I had done this or done that or changed this or changed that, I could have had such a better place in eternity." People are going to be frustrated over that. People are going to say to themselves, "Wow, I should have done that." By the way, before you're judged, your whole life will play out in front of you like watching a video. You'll see your whole life in front of you, and it'll all be played in front of you from the time you're born to the time you die, and then you'll see that and you'll say, that was me. I did all those things. I did all the why did I do that? I did all that. I can't believe that was me. You're going to see all of that play out before you. So that's a little bit about the next world. The Jews, by the way, will be, because there'll be a light unto the nations, a holy nation of priests. They'll be like they'll be the priests in the holy temple, and they will have control of the Holy Land and the temple, so that when the Gentile nations come, when the righteous Gentiles come for their pilgrimages, the Jews will be there to take care of that for them too, so that they'll be able to go to the temple and be able to experience the great experiences that they're going to have, which they'll look forward to all year. They're going to look forward to the pilgrimage to Yerushalayim, to Jerusalem, all year. Everybody is going to want to be as close to God as possible. Closeness to God is going to be the ultimate example of happiness. Everybody's going to love God and want to be as close as possible to God. That's a little taste of the next world. Now, in this world, we can do something really, really good for the ultimate righteous people of this generation, the Hilltop youth. Noar HaGevaot in Hebrew, the Hilltop youth. We can do something for them, which is the ultimate righteous thing. I just saw pictures of them and video of them. They're just, they have their sheep, and they have their herds, and they're going right up to the Arab villages and taking the land and claiming the land because it's their land, right up to the so-called Arab villages in Judea and Samaria. And the Arabs feel such despair because they're being surrounded by these Hilltop youth now who are taking more and more land and growing. That, as we've said, tens of thousands of Arabs have already left the land of Israel, because they feel there's no hope that with people like this, there's no hope that they're going to get control of the land of Israel. And the Hilltop youth are giving us hope that we can win this battle for the control of the land of Israel. They're so brave, and they're freezing in the winter, and it's hot in the summer because they don't have electricity. And they go through this and work in the freezing rain and under very difficult conditions. And they live there with their families, with their wives and children. Of course, the wives and children, for them, they try to make things as comfortable as possible. And things are a little more comfortable for the wives and children. They make sure. And for them, they burn wood. They have stoves and they burn wood. Some of them have generators in order to create some heat, but and they of course they try also to keep the animals that they have as comfortable as possible, because they're very kind to their animals. These are very kind people. They're strong and brave, but very kind. The opposite of the Arabs. All the animals, by the way, in Judea and Samaria want to go to the Hilltop Youth area. They all run to the Hilltop Youth. They want to escape the Arabs because the Arabs are sadistic beasts. The Arabs torture the animals and kill the animals and laugh and make videos of them tearing birds apart and laughing. And I mean, they're vicious, sadistic. The Muslim terrorist Nazis there are sadistic, vicious beasts. And so all the animals want to flee, always want to flee them and always want to run to the Hilltop Youth because the Hilltop Youth are so kind to the animals. But in any event, these are the giants of our generation, the Hilltop Youth. They're living the biblical life. This is like biblical lifestyle that they're living. They're shepherds, just like King David and Moses were shepherds. They're living the ultimate biblical life. And they're so scholarly, and they're so intelligent, and they're so talented, and they're so ingenious in how they manage to overcome all the challenges of nature and everything else. We have to help them. Here's how you help the Hilltop Youth. First of all, you should leave in your will. You should leave a portion of your will to the Jewish Task Force, J.T.F., and you leave it to the J.T.F. P.O. Box, of course. J.T.F. You put it in your will, J.T.F. P.O. Box 650327, Fresh Meadows, New York 11365, and it's Jewish Task Force, Inc. We're incorporated in the state of New York. You leave it to the Jewish Task Force, J.T.F., in your will. Leave money in your will for them. This is the ultimate cause, the ultimate idealistic cause. By the way, we're the only group you can give to where 100% of your money goes to the cause. I don't take any. We don't pay any salaries here. I don't take any. Not only don't I take salaries, I'm giving all of my money away. I'm giving all of my money to them. So leave JTF in your will. That's number one. Number two, you can make recurring monthly donations to JTF. You can do this on our website. You go to our website, hayamin.org, which is our Hebrew website. There's a donate button in English on top. You click on the donate button and you can make recurring monthly donations. So every month, automatically, you're giving a certain amount to JTF. You're giving a certain amount for the Hilltop Youth. That's something you could do that will do a lot of good. We need as many monthly donors as possible. And you can make one-time donations. If you don't want to make monthly donations, I think you should do both. But you can also make one-time donations. Again, by going to hayamin.org, you click on the donate button. It's very easy and convenient to do. That's if you want to do it online. If you want to do it through the regular mail, you make your checks and money orders out to JTF, and you send it to JTF P.O. Box 650327, Fresh Meadows, New York 11365. David?
Well, I see we're running a little late, so I don't have much anyway. The biggest story I have today is, well, we didn't talk about Israel and Arabs, so I'm going to save it for a show where we do talk about Israel and Arabs. The Boy Scouts of America, which doesn't exist anymore. Irving Berlin, the great songwriter who wrote God Bless America and There's No Business Like Show Business, and other great songwriters called him America's greatest songwriter. Oh, how I hate to get up in the morning. He was a big booster of the Boy Scouts. And when I was in the 50s, a little boy, we had the Cub Scouts dressed in blue uniforms. And when they got older, they became Boy Scouts. And then on the Girl Scout side, you had girls dressed in little brown uniforms. And they were called Brownies. And then they got green uniforms when they got older and they became Girl Scouts. And you also had two different side organizations. One was called the Sea Rangers, where you dressed up like an actual sailor. And on the girls' side, the Campfire Girls. Well, because of what is claimed to be discrimination, Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts and homosexuals and transgenders are all thrown into one pot now called Scouting America. So there's no Boy Scouts, there's no Girl Scouts. And the Boy Scouts did boyish things and the Girl Scouts did girlish things. Today you're all thrown into one pot. And what would Irving Berlin think of this organization today? I don't even see anybody in any uniforms. I don't even know of anybody who's in Scouting America. Is it even a viable organization, or is it just hanging on by fingernails because Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts were destroyed?
If you have children, keep them away from these organizations. Keep them away, because they have turned into
Evil.
a nightmare. They're evil. They're evil. They work to propagandize and to pervert our youth. They want to pervert and propagandize and destroy the souls of our youth. They are horrible organizations now. Stay away from them.
And I knew it was the beginning of the end when they started allowing homosexual scoutmasters. I knew it was just the beginning. It was going to get worse and worse and worse. And it did. So today it's not a viable organization. It's a shame because it taught good things. It taught Boy Scouts how to help elderly people cross the streets and how to guide them, and blind people, and many other things like starting a fire with 2 sticks. I was never a Boy Scout or a Ranger, and I certainly wasn't a Girl Scout, but that's some of the stuff they did. Camping, how to put up a tent, survival skills in the wild. Just a one-liner here. A woman in New Orleans kidnaps a baby, leaving the little baby on the railroad tracks to die. It's a good thing they caught her and they saved the baby.
They should put her anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say. No, I'm not going to say, because I am so enlightened and progressive. I'm not going to say what I think, but
It's funny how I knew what you were going to.
I was going to say, you know that I believe in do unto others what they do unto you.
The only thing is, when you put someone on the railroad tracks, it's not like when you have electric trains and say you have a few sets of trains and a big layout and there's trains action all over. When you put somebody on real railroad tracks, that's all they are, is railroad tracks. What does a train come through? Twice a week? So it's not like when you have toy trains where there's action all over.
Well, there's action in the New York City subways where they throw people on the tracks.
Yeah, well, that train comes every 10 minutes.
And again, there's a certain category of people who do that. There's a certain category of people who do that.
Oh, my glad I don't live there anymore. Of course, New York is famous for their good food, all of it unhealthy. But I'm glad I don't live there. The only thing I miss, my parents are buried there, and I wouldn't mind going to the cemetery and visit their graves. I still do annual maintenance on it. And then we just had the Super Bowl. I watched one Super Bowl in my entire life. That was so long ago. It was before we had cable TV. There was nothing else on. I was eating dinner, so I watched it. It doesn't matter to me which team of rapists and wife beaters wins. I don't care. It doesn't affect my life one bit. And also, there's something about football that is somewhat true to baseball, but not like football. Football always comes down to one game. And say you have a bad day that day, even though you might be the best team, you lose and it's over till next season. And sometimes these football games are very one-sided. And people get bored watching a one-sided game because they know the other team is not going to come back. In baseball, if you have during the World Series, which has to go best of 7, if one game is one-sided, well, the next one won't be. It'll be a close game, maybe 3-2, 4-3. Plus, you have a better chance of the better team winning because you have to win a few games. So just one game won't put you out. I also understand that it was the worst halftime show. They always build that halftime show up. And I understand it was the worst one they've ever had. I don't know. I don't watch the halftime
They
show
put the
either.
PLO they put the PLO terrorist flag there. One of the people there was waving a PLO terrorist flag. One of the people was waving a PLO terrorist flag
See,
during the
they don't
halftime
take,
show.
it used to be sports was sports. Politics were left out of it. Now they can't leave politics out of it. I'm amazed they took end racism out of the, what's it called? The end lines, whatever, the edges of the field at the, past the goalpost. And they put something like love, love your neighbor. I don't know what they put, but it was, why do they need messages? It's the end of the field. It should just be the white line. I'll tell you, in the sport I play, they don't have anything like that. There's no politics at all. And it is a very big sport because table tennis, you have 200 million players, more than 200 million in China alone. And we were talking about health before. Table tennis is rated number 3 in keeping Alzheimer's away out of all the sports. I'm sure 1 or 2, I don't know what 1 or 2 is, but I'm sure 1 or 2 is tennis because you have a lot more running. You have plenty of running in table tennis too, but the court isn't as big. So there's more running in tennis, shot after shot. And a lot of Major League Baseball clubs have table tennis tables in their clubhouse so that they could practice hand-eye coordination.
But by the way, I didn't mention when I was talking about health, exercise is essential to good health. Exercise and the sports you're talking about, the physical activities you're talking about are essential to good health. Very, very important. And also not getting aggravated is essential to good health. Keeping calm and not getting aggravated, not letting things get to you. Not internalizing. By the way, let everything out. I don't internalize, but if you internalize things and let it get to you and let you eat you up inside, that's very dangerous for your health.
And at the Super Bowl, it was the first time a president attended. And what is he doing? Risking fate? How long is he going to stay lucky and not be shot? But the thing is, they cheered the president and they booed Taylor Swift.
That I liked.
I like that too. I didn't see it. I didn't even watch a
That I
clip of it on
loved.
YouTube.
I loved them booing that beast. I loved it. That left-wing filthy beast. That anti-Semitic left-wing filthy beast. I loved it.
And from her singing, what is she, a billionaire now? Our first billion?
Oh no, she has no talent.
I,
Music
I
stinks.
wouldn't say no talent. I listened to her because I wanted to see what all the hoopla was about. And I said to Ashadina that she's adequate at best. So what is all the hoopla? I don't understand why.
Ashdina sings a lot better than her. A
Well,
lot better.
Ashadina actually was speaking to Madonna many years ago and challenged her to a sing-off for a deli sandwich, a pastrami sandwich at Katz's Deli. And one of Madonna's friends told her, don't do it. The exact words were, this kid can sing.
Ashdina can sing. She's something else. She should be the one she should be the famous person. She should be the billionaire. Anyway.
And I know there's a lot of people out there, millions, who think Taylor Swift is a great singer. The fact that she's so good looking, that doesn't sway you a little bit, but she's not a great singer. She's adequate. You want to hear great singers, you go back to the big band era of the 1940s or the pop era of the 1950s. You want to hear great singers, you listen to Joe Stafford. That's a woman, J-O, not J-O-E. You listen to Gogi Grant. You listen to Patti Page. You listen to Eddie Fisher. You listen to Guy Mitchell. These were really good pop singers. Great. Actually, Joe Stafford was Frank Sinatra's all-time favorite singer. And of course, in the 50s, you still had Bing Crosby making some recordings and Frank Sinatra. Both their voices were diminished due to physical problems. Bing Crosby in the late 30s developed vocal polyps, and he lost his range and his power, and his voice got deeper. And that's the Crosby you remember
Didn't
from the
help. It didn't
movies in the
help. It didn't
40s,
help that it didn't help that he was a heavy drinker either.
and a pipe smoker. And Frank Sinatra had a vocal hemorrhage in the late 40s. And same thing, he lost his power,
Another smoker, by the way. Also
he
a smoker.
lost his range,
He used to
and he
smoke.
became
Remember
very
on his TV
monotone.
show? You remember he had a TV show?
Yeah.
He used to smoke on the TV show. You remember that?
But if you want to hear Sinatra at peak power from a movie called Till the Clouds Roll By, listen to him sing, and it's on YouTube, just the one song, Old Man River. Usually think of a bass voice singing it, but somehow Sinatra pulled it off. You'll hear the power he didn't have in the 1950s.
Andy
And if,
Williams. Andy Williams did my Old Man River the best, I think.
I don't know, did you hear Sinatra do it from
No,
1946?
no, I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it. But I could tell you, I thought Andy Williams did a very good job. But anyway, whatever.
One of the best versions I ever heard was from an opera singer with a bass voice. He's a white man. He sang Old Man River he has a very deep voice. And Asher Dinas asked me, who's that guy with the beautiful deep voice? And it's on YouTube. His name is Paul Ramey, Ramey, I believe. And don't quote me on Paul. I think it's Paul. But he's from the opera. And you know who was an opera singer too? Bass voice, beautiful bass voice. Do you remember Popeye's chief nemesis, Bluto? From 1935 to mid-1938, this guy, Gus Wilkes, or Wilkies, was the voice of Bluto, and they had him sing some songs in the cartoons. He left Max Fleischer Studios because he wanted to go back to singing at the opera. Beautiful bass voice. Just listen to Popeye Meets Sinbad the Sailor. There's a lot of singing in that. And Gus Wilkies is the bass voice of Bluto, who is Sinbad.
Now opera is also LGBTQXRSMLNOP QRXT friendly. And they've taken over now. Now the opera world, they've taken over the opera world. They've taken over
Everything.
everything that is, you know, anyway, I don't want to get into it now, but I was the one hope you would have would be that Trump being elected would reverse some of this stuff, but I doubt it.
Well, we got to give him a chance. Was he been in office 3 weeks now?
Yeah, but he's not opposed. He's not opposed to, so I doubt it. Anyway, whatever. Okay.
Well, this guy, Paul Ramey, I don't know if he's singing opera now. The video I saw was from, I think, the late 90s. And not only was it a race-based halftime show at the Super Bowl, they haven't featured a white singer since 2020. Aren't there any good white singers? Maybe not. That's why Taylor Swift is considered great.
They're such anti-Semites. Every time they do anything, they're such anti-Semites. They had to have the PLO flag there. They're such anti-Semites.
And I'm glad you brought that up. Kanye West. Did you see him at the Grammys with is that his wife or his girlfriend, wearing a see-through gauze dress with no covering on her female parts? When guests arrived, they always put them up against this wall and take their pictures, which they did with them. Of course, the censors had to cover her up. And I heard this. Now, I don't know if this is true because I don't watch the Grammys either, and I don't watch the Oscars. The last time I watched the Oscars, Bob Hope was the MC, so that tells you how the last time He said the Oscars, or it's known in my house as Passover, because he never won an Oscar. Kanye West has been blasting the Jews for the last 6 to 8 months, blasting Israel, not just Israel, the Jews. And he said he loves Hitler. And that
Just last week, by the way. Last week.
Yeah, and he said he's.
By the way, he posted it on X, which is Twitter. They didn't take they allow him to post that he loves Hitler, and he said, "I am a Nazi. I love Hitler."
Yes, I have here that he loves Nazis. And then he also made this statement: you have to put your Jews in their place and make them into your slaves. This guy has an IQ in the negative digits. It's really probably an IQ of 60.
They all say they love the Nazis. This is going back since to the 1950s, 1960s. This has been going on. They all say that. And let's not get into, well, the Nazis didn't like them. So what? They say they love the Nazis because they hate Jews. They all hate the Jews, and the Jews supported them and continue to support them, these self-hating Jews. And the Jews did everything. If not for the Jews, they would still be living in segregation in the South and living in completely different situations. It was the Jews that were the brains behind the civil rights movement. But anyway, that's what you get when you don't fight for your fellow Jews. You didn't care about the 6 million Jews being murdered during the Holocaust. That you didn't care about. Fighting for Soviet Jews, the only ones who cared about that were the JDL Kahanish Jews. You didn't care about your fellow Jews. You never did anything for your fellow Jews. And then you join and fight for these other groups who are Jew haters, who hate your guts.
And that's all I have this week.
Who would kill every one of you if they had the chance. I'm sorry, David.
No, that's okay. I didn't have much except for this one story, and it's out of place this week.
Okay. But anyway, no, the show wasn't particularly long. I know I went on for a long time. You know what? This is why I should never try to do. I tried it this week, speaking about 2 subjects in one show. I shouldn't do that. I spoke about health, and I spoke about the Mashiach, about the Jewish Messiah. That's 2 different subjects in one show. That's something that is not a good idea, because it takes too long. It's better to concentrate on one subject a week. I mean, when I do it, at least, it's better that I concentrate on one subject a week. But anyway, in any event, in your heart, you know we're right. And in your guts, you know they're nuts. For J.T.F. until next week, and for David Ben Moshe, Shalom.